Today I'm replacing this, which is the primary handbrake cable or bar on my VW Vanagon or T25. This is the front section. It goes from the handbrake to the balance bar in the middle of the van. The end of mine unfortunately sheared off when I tried to undo the nut, so we've got to replace it for that reason. Can't be that hard, can it? Let's find out. Handbrake cover should pop straight off. The new cable is going to come through the van like this, through the boot, and on the end is a loop. Now this is attached on the handbrake at the bottom there with the pin, and on the other side, which is really hard to see and no doubt it's going to be quite a fiddly one to get to, there's a little C-clip holding that pin in place. Pull the handbrake up a few notches just to hold it steady, because when it's at the bottom it tends to move. I'm using a pair of sniped nosed mule grips. I'll open them up just enough to go around the pin, and I've pushed it off, but it's gone. I've lost it. My rubber's held on with a clamp bar, so you probably have to loosen it to pull the rubber up if you want to do that. Might get away without it. We now have access to our rubber grommet. It's a bit like when you're cleaning between the sofa cushions down here. It's all a bit grimy and gritty underneath the mats. Put the gasket through. Hopefully we can get the cable through. There we go. Now the hole we just made is right over there, which is above the fuel tank, behind the brake lines and water pipes, the cross member. And I'm not sure I can get my arms in at all to get to that. So we're going to drop the spare wheel down, see if it gives me a bit more access. I imagine I can feed the cable through. That won't be an issue in terms of getting the cable there in the first place, I don't think. However, there is this little guide. Now, I've no idea how I'm going to get my arms above that fuel tank all the way back there to put this in place. So I'm going to drop the spare wheel down, see if I can get a bit closer access, and let's have a look. Crikey, water pipes everywhere. I'm not sure that even helped. So under the van you've got your two handbrake cables which join at the balance bar. This is the primary cable at the front here, which is broken off on mine, which goes all the way over here, again under the fuel tank. I can't get my hands in this side, I certainly can't get anything in this side. We've got water pipes here and the bar goes through a tiny little grommet just behind the gear shift linkage. So I thought maybe I'm making a mistake here and maybe I'm missing something pretty obvious, and I don't think I am. Basically I read the Haynes manual and it basically says take the cable out like it's nothing at all. I'm assuming the guide in this book is done with no fuel tank in, because I just don't see how it's done as easily as it reads. The only thing I've kind of picked up from the very simple basic little guide that's in here for doing that is you should take this boot off first. I assume that just makes it easier pushing it forwards through the van so it doesn't either pull off or get stuck on things. So I pulled it back through the hole, and when I've got a hand free in a second, not holding the camera, I'll just take this boot off and push the cable back down there so I can grab hold of it. Slide the cable off the boot? Are you joking? That's not sliding off anything. Now I could cut it off, but I'm leaving it on. It's not going to cause any problems. It's that flexible. It's not exactly going to fall off, is it? So I'm sure it'll pull through with everything else. Get back down the hill, you. Pokey pokey. Good as new. Just need to work out how we're going to reattach it. So this is the original piece of threaded bar that's broken off. It's actually the entire threaded section that snapped off the end before it goes to being a solid bar to the front of the van. So I need to reattach this back onto the original bit of bar. Now I could get under there with a welder and zap it back on, but it's not ideal because obviously next to the fuel tank I'm going to drag all the welder out, and it's not a solution that everyone can go for. So I've come up with a different idea. So I cleaned up this with a tap and die set, so I got them all out, I've run it down the threads, cleaned it up with a wire brush, and then I've used the same tap and die set to actually cut a thread into the end of the solid bar section which is still on the van. Now the original section there isn't as wide as this would have been when it was first cut, so I don't know if the threads I've cut into it will be deep enough to hold. However, I've ordered a long nut, a join nut, I'm not sure what they call them, on eBay. So it's a 40mm long M6 nut, so 10mm can go onto this and then 30mm onto the new thread, which hopefully will be enough to hold on there, to hold tight. And then assuming of course it's not causing issues with the balance bar in terms of position, we've got a relatively simple solution which costs about £3.50 to fix. So I'm pretty happy with that. If it doesn't work, I'll update the description below, so do check the description just in case. But hopefully we've got a working solution in progress here. However, before I could do any of this, I had to make sure that the existing handbrake was okay. So when I pushed the handbrake cable back through the hole in the front of the van, I heard a little pop, and I was kind of worried that the little guide that we had trouble removing and refitting had actually been pushed off the bottom of the van. So I got a big long camera, an inspection camera on the end of a stick, and it took a long time to feed it through to where the actual little guide is. But thankfully it's still attached to the van. The long nut has arrived in the post. It does feel a bit of a sloppy fit on both this and the original bit of threaded bar. I'm not sure if that's kind of the design of the actual long nut. I don't know, maybe it's for a reason, I don't know that. But I'm going to put a bit of thread lock on here just in case, because it threads on very easily. Firstly, because the threads on this probably aren't as deep as they should be, but also I don't want this coming loose. So a bit of thread lock on there. It gives me about 10mm. Bit of thread lock. Fingers crossed that will hold. Like I say, if it does fail, if it pulls out in strips, and it's not happy, then I can always just zap a bit of weld on each end of this, because I've got this nice big chunky bit of steel on there. I've got something decent to attach to now. It's not stainless. They did do stainless ones, but I could only find an 18mm long one, so I had to get it in mild steel. I'll be honest with you, the casting on it's pretty rough. It's it's not a high precision made piece of metal. But hopefully it will do the job. Just putting a bit of grease on this tooth plate because it seems to be kind of grating a bit on there. Give it a good old tug. And the threads haven't pinged off on the cable, which is amazing. It saves having to get the welder out. So see if we can set the handbrake and see if we can get it to work. Right, so far so good. So the first thing we need to do is give it a couple of quick tugs. Yours probably won't come up that high. Obviously I've been playing around with mine just to centralise the shoes. They should be centralised anyway because I've been using the van. It's not like I've just fitted them just now. And now we need to go up 2 clicks. 1, 2. And we need to get back under the van. The wheel's turning and not dragging, so we need to tighten up the cable a bit. So I'm just going to continue tightening the cable up. Hopefully I'm not going to run out of thread before the wheel stops. With my foot down there, if you can see, I'm just spinning the wheel with my foot to make sure it doesn't stop. I'm waiting for a binding point. There we go. So the back wheel's hardly turning, so it's just binding lightly. Hopefully, if I go and take the handbrake off, it'll spin free. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, crikey, that's twice as much as it should do. Back to 2. I'm just going to tighten the cable a touch more. Alright, just at the point now where the wheel doesn't, as soon as you stop pushing, it basically doesn't move anywhere at all. In terms of adjustment on this new bar, looks like I've got about 3mm. So it's quite close, but I think we're alright. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Crikey, 4 at a pull. Put it down to the ground and the wheel spins freely. Rock and roll. Right, happy with this side. The cable's not pinged off, which is amazing. Just got to jack the other side up and check the brakes are working the same on the other side, and we are good to go. Off the ground, spinning free, 2 clicks up, it's a hard bind. Rock solid. Well, today's video didn't turn out as planned, so I was going to show you how to replace the primary handbrake cable. It's not something I'd actually done on any of my vans in the past, and I didn't appreciate how much work would be involved in doing that. It looked pretty straightforward, although it did look tricky, but I didn't appreciate the fuel tank had to come out to basically get to it, which is a fair amount of work for most people. I'm not entirely sure if you can actually take the 2 tank straps off the bottom and just angle the back of the tank down to get your arms in there. I'm not sure, but I don't want to disturb anything at the minute until after the summer season's over and say I finish using the van, so I may do this over winter. I'm planning on keeping the cable, and when the tank comes out for whatever reason, or I had to do it, or the bodge fails, I will replace it, because obviously you want your handbrake cable to be as good as it can be. It's there for emergencies. So yeah, so hopefully this might have helped if you've got a similar situation and you want to keep it on the road short term, or until you can afford to have the work done to get it back to top spec. So you may find that useful. And also we showed you how to set the handbrake and get it just the right amount of clicks and stop him when it should do. So hopefully you found some use from this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.